أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول. صدق الله العظيم. This surah is called Surah Al-Fil, and most of us might be aware of the reason why this surah is called Surah Al-Fil. Of course, this surah was revealed in Makkah Mukarramah, and the event that is narrated in this surah took place before the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that is the event when Abraha, the king of Yemen, tried to destroy the Kaaba, and he came with a large army that had many elephants also. This is why they are called the people of elephants. This event of Abraha trying to attack Makkah and destroy the Kaaba took place the same year that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was born, but this event was before Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's birth. Since in those days Arabs had no fixed calendar to start their date from, so they always used to refer to the most important event that is closest to their date. Whatever date they would like to assign, they would go back to the most important event that happened in the history, and then they will start marking their date from that time. So accordingly, since this event was very important to them, so they used to call it Amul Fil, the year of elephants. And this is why in the books of history, when we read about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's birth, it says he was born Amul Fil, during the year of elephants, which simply means is referring to this event. And as I said, they used to go back to the most important event that is closest to their date or their time, and they used to refer to those events to set the date. What was the event? In Yemen, there was a king whose name was Zun-Nawas. Zun-Nawas was from a clan called Himyar. These people have no religion except they used to worship objects. And at that time, of course, even Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was not born, so the only religion was there that was acceptable at that time was Christianity. And Christians were also the superpower from the Roman Empire. So there were a lot of Christians in Yemen. Of course, their book was changed, but there was no other prophet to follow, so therefore they were considered the people following the right track. The king of Yemen, Zun-Nawas, he started torturing these Christians, and finally he started killing them, and he made his people dig big ditches, long and very deep ditches, and they put on fires into those ditches, and then they started throwing all the Christians into those ditches. That's the one that is referred to in Quran al-Kareem in Surah Al-Buruj. قُتِلَ أَصْحَابُ الْأُخْدُودِ النَّارِ ذَاتِ الْوَقُودِ إِذْ هُمْ عَلَيْهَا قُعُودٌ. The people of ditches were killed, and they were burned into the fire. النَّارِ ذَاتِ الْوَقُودِ. So, this was the king Zun-Nawas who killed all of those Christians. But there were two Christians who were able to escape from Yemen. Somehow they escaped from Yemen and straight they went to King Hercules. King Hercules wrote a letter to the king of Habasha. The king of Habasha was also Christian, and those people were Christians. So those people prepared an army, and he sent the army to kill these people, the people of Himyar that were living in Yemen. When the king of Habasha send the army, he had two leaders of the army. He assigned two commanders-in-chief for the army. One was Irbat and the other was Abraha. So Irbat and Abraha, they had their armies and they started killing people in Yemen, and they killed so many people that the people of Tafsir were almost finished except for some of them who were able to escape from Yemen. The king himself, the Nawaz, he tried to escape from Yemen, but he got drowned in the ocean. After these people took over, now Irbat and Abraha, these two commanders-in-chief for the army, they started fighting among themselves against each other because each of them wanted to become the king of Yemen. He wanted to take the rule of Yemen. So finally, Abraha took over and he killed Irbat. Now Abraha became the king of Yemen, so we can understand from this that when we say that Abraha attacked the Kaaba and they came from Yemen, basically he was from Habasha. He wasn't originally from Yemen, he wasn't a Yemenese, he was from Habasha. What's the name for it nowadays? Ethiopia. And the books of history, all books of history, they refer to that as Abyssinia. But Ethiopia is nowadays the name for it. So, he was originally from Ethiopia. Abraha, when he took over Yemen, first thing he thought about was, he said, these are the people, the original residents of Yemen are Arabs. And all the clans around Yemen are Arabs too. Somehow he wanted to get hold of these Arabs. It wasn't very easy for a person from Ethiopia to become not just a king, but even the spiritual leader for these Arabs. Whereas Arabs do not believe in his religion. So somehow he wanted to force them to change their direction and start going towards him. And he would become even the spiritual leader, not only just a king of Yemen. For that reason, he built a huge church from outside on the shape of the Kaaba. The reason was, now through this, he can get the Arabs, instead of traveling all the way from Yemen or around Yemen to Mecca, they should come over here. It's easier for them. And he made it beautiful and a huge building. The construction was also designed very nice and had a lot of pearls and everything into it for it to be attractive. But of course, we all know that in Ibadah, when the people are really looking to worship, they don't look for this type of attraction. Even the very simple thing in the world, if it's considered as a sacred thing from the religious point of view, that thing has more importance than any other thing in the world. As we know it, if a person will give us a water of Zamzam, another person is giving us a whole tank of water which he admires it from this and that part of the world and purified 20 times, still, for a Muslim he will say, this is the water of Zamzam, I'll go for this. At the time of Iftar, we know it, many times we are hungry and we feel like eating something. But in spite of having all the food in front of us, we just go straight to the date. We say, this is sunnah, let me start with the date. So these religious things, people who are really looking to serve God, they do not look for attractions in these things. We do not have to, wal-iyadhu-billah, put lights like a disco in the masjid in order for people to come into the masjid. Just very little light or no light, still people who like to worship, they will come into the masjid. So these type of attraction is not needed. And at the same time, if this attraction is somewhere else, people might go for it, considering themselves going to some worldly things, but they will never say, I'm going to a religious thing. Exactly this is what happened there. People used to go over there to look at what he has built. But now, since he made a lot of advertisements, this is such a huge place, such a nice place, you get this over here, it has pearls, it has gold, it has this, and you can go into it, you can walk into it, and as you walk into it, you get all the comfort, it's so beautiful from inside. So even Arabs, of course, they went there to visit that place, but just as tourists. They would just go there to see what it is. But at the same time, remember, these people, when they would go and look at it, right away the feeling would come up and the message is repeated that this is built to take over the Kaaba, in competition with the Kaaba. So of course that was something unacceptable for those people who had all the respect for the Kaaba. So some people started using that place as a bathroom. Some of the Arabs were upset with the place, with Abraha building it in competition with the Kaaba. So of course they could not see something coming or someone trying to compete with the Kaaba, so they would go and use the bathroom over there to let Abraha know that this place, in spite of all of this gold and silver and everything that you have, has no value to us. We'll use it like a bathroom. And our place of worship is Kaaba, our direction is Kaaba. And Abraha was getting upset, and every time he would hear something like this, some people came and used bathroom over there during the night time, he would get angry. Finally, one of those days, someone burned down part of that place. Now Abraha, of course, his main purpose was to get the Arabs to come towards this direction, to get the Arabs to accept that place as a sacred place instead of Kaaba. But he realized that these people are not accepting that message at all. And he cannot do it like this, so he thought, and he said to himself and to his people, there is only one way that I can change the direction. And that is, I would go and destroy the Kaaba. They will have no Kaaba, so then they will have to turn to it. In other words, force them to accept this as their sacred place. And force them to accept this as a direction for their prayers, and not the Kaaba. So he prepared the army and went to Makkah. Of course, before he would leave, there were a lot of tribes of Arabs who got together and fought against him, but he had a large army, and he had many elephants in his army, and normally, as he used to let the elephants in the front row, put them in the front row, and then let them loose and go towards the other army, their camels and their horses used to be scared of these elephants and run away. So he took over all the people who tried to stop him on his way. Finally, Abraha got very close to Makkah. When he got over there, it was a night time. At that time, he saw a lot of cattle, camels, horses, goats of the people of Quraysh that were out there in the jungle. So he got all of them. He took all of those. Next day, the people of Makkah knew that Abraha is here, and he took all of their animals, and he's planning to attack the Kaaba. They also knew that we have no power to confront this army and to stop them from doing whatever their plan is. So they all went out on the mountains. So the whole city of Makkah was empty, and they're all out in the mountains. Abdul Muttalib, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's grandfather, he came to know also that his camels were also taken by Abraha. So he went to Abraha with some other leaders of Quraysh, when Abraha looked at Abdul Muttalib, Abraha really got impressed just by the looking of Abdul Muttalib. And we have to realize that Abdul Muttalib is carrying something very important at this time in his shoulders, in his body. He's going to be, or he is the father of Abdullah, and Abdullah will be the father of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Abdul Muttalib is not just a normal person, he's a special person. And a person who will be father or grandfather of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, of course, there has to be something important with this man. When Abraham looked at Abdul Muttalib, he was really impressed. He made a special place for Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib, when he started talking to him, he started the conversation with, last night he took some of our animals and there were some of my camels also there, about 100 camels of mine, so I would like you to give me my camels back. So Abraham says to Abdul Muttalib, I was really impressed by looking at you, and I thought you are a very intelligent person and very intelligent leader of this clan, and I thought you would talk to me about the most important thing you people have, and that is the Kaaba. But I'm surprised that you're talking to me about your camels, and you're not worried about anything else. You are planning to attack the Kaaba, you attack Mecca, and all you're talking about is your camels. Abdul Muttalib said, أنا رب هذه الجمال وللبيت رب يرعاه. I am the owner of these camels. And this house, Kaaba, has also an owner who is going to protect his own home. So I'm not worried about someone else's own home. That's Allah's home, is going to protect it. And my responsibility is for my camels, so this is what I'm asking for my camels. Give me my camels back. So Abraham thought it's very easy to please this man. If the leader is pleased, then all of these people will get out of our way, and we'll just easily destroy the Kaaba and walk back. So he gave him his camels back. Then as Abdul Muttalib was leaving, Abraham asked him, Abdul Muttalib, what do you think? Who do you think will come to help this home? I don't see no one. So he said, I told you, there is an owner for this home, and that is God. This is God's home, it's not my home.